Hi again, it's Dave from Vinyl Nirvana, and we're entering part two of installing the two switch plate on a TD-125 Mark II. So far we have accomplished removing the three switches, which are essential to removing the front fascia plate, and we also removed a lot of this wiring also. So right now we are going to put the wooden plinth back on, but I did leave out one tool, everybody. I apologize. So this is a socket, 5.5 millimeter socket, and you're going to need that to separate the top plate from the rest of the subchassis. So right now, it's probably safest because of how fragile this board is to replace the wooden plinth. If you're creative with the way you can support things on your workspace, I suppose you wouldn't have to do this, but I think it's safer to just go ahead and do that. So you want to make sure that this is squared up in the front, and then you'll know you're basically the right place. So we're going to reattach these four screws just for the sake of being really careful around that circuit board. And hopefully these will line up. Sometimes it's tricky to get these line up. If they all line up, all four easily, I'll install all four. If one or two give me a hard time, I might just wait and do those later for the sake of getting to the main part of this. So we've got two started easily so far, which is good luck. And I just dropped the washer, which probably not keeping this plinth, but if I were, that washer would be important to reinstall. Okay, this one's catching, and I'm tightening all the way, going back to these two and tightening all the way. And I'm going to give this one more try to catch, and then if it doesn't, like I said, I'm just going to wait and accomplish it with three for the sake of time here. Okay, so we can turn this back to the other side, and we're going to remove the arm board and the cueing apparatus. You don't have to set this up on the uprights. I'm just going to, for the sake of trying to keep my white table a little bit whiter. Okay, so you can see the three switches are now removed, and we're going to use the 3 millimeter Allen wrench to now remove this part of the arm board. Looks like this is going to be easier with the counterweight off. And again, you'll notice I've been pretty not careful with the arm wires under here. Again, they're fairly robust, but I have soldering skills. If you don't have soldering skills, if you plan to reuse the arm, if you plan to sell the arm, you might want to be a little bit more gingerly with your approach to how you handle the tone arm wires under there. Okay, so I'm lining up the RCA cable to come under here, and I'm going to start lifting this very gently so that the cable doesn't get caught on anything, and I can lift it right out. Reaching under there and grabbing the junction so there's no pressure on that. And I've got the ground wire, everything is out, so we're in great shape in regards to removing that. So the next thing we want to do, there are two screws right here, and these hold the cueing apparatus in place. So I'm going to loosen those two screws, and that's just going to drop out of it. I can't actually 100% recall whether it drops out or whether it comes out the remaining part after we get the fascia plate off, but we'll see. Okay, so taking the two screws out, and there is a part that integrates with the switch and it's not removing readily, so that'll come off when the rest of the switch is removed. Okay, we're going to go back upside down in the L-shaped pattern we had before, and now we're going to separate the top plate from the plinth so we can get at the screws that hold in the front fascia plate. So these are, and again, these parts are, rare to find, so take good care of where you're going to keep them all. But basically, the attachment of the top plate is through these three series of nuts and washers. And this is using your 5.5 millimeter socket. Try not to lose the screw, and you've got a washer there and a rubber washer. And again, you're removing those parts carefully so you don't lose any, and then the final one. Okay, this is the place where we loosened those two screws before, and you can see it's just kind of locked in there, but it's going to come loose as soon as we lift up the plinth. So excuse if that crashes down. And we're just lifting straight up, and everything is coming off of that area. So I set the main guts of the turntable aside. So this is the top plate. There's another series of washers and nuts here. And just be careful that those aren't so loose that they fall out. Make sure that the springs are intact so that don't fall out and you lose track of where they are. It's always helpful to replace these things in the place where they were if you're not replacing the springs, so you can get things back where they were. So we're going to reconfigure these again, and we're going to finally get to taking that switch plate off, folks. And I think this is probably a good place to stop this video and start the third one.